Hey guys, my voice was affected from COVID. I was having cough, but I think now I'm back to normal for the most part. So, time to start talking about other stuff. When I was in India, I had to go to a river, we call it Ghat, it's basically a river bank. And since it was my father's first 1 year death anniversary, I had to do some religious uh, ceremonies, and I didn't take any pictures. I don't enjoy religious ceremonies that are forced on you. I'll do a whole vlog on that. But the reason I wanted to discuss that was as I was completing this, one of the steps was to go into the river and take some water and then go back again and then throw some flowers and a lot of things. At one point, I had my slippers on and I forgot to take it off. And as I waded into water, the one of the guys came running, screaming, and literally shoved me around, saying, "What the hell are you doing? This is Narmada Ma. It's the most of the rivers are considered mothers by the people who live around them, so they refer to them as mother. So, Mother Narmada, why you cannot do that?" And he was really upset. And you know how when somebody touches you, you can sense the level of anger. um, I could sense that he was really angry, and I immediately apologized, saying I didn't mean it, must have forgotten. And things went back to normal. I did what I needed to do and went back and completed the rest of the ceremony. But I could see that he was wanting to escalate things. He really wanted me to be punished or something like that. I didn't discuss it with anyone. I didn't need to. But I'm fairly certain that if I told this incident to someone in India, their first question would be, "Why didn't you take your slippers off?" Um, People are very sensitive to their religious beliefs, and I understand that. What they are not sensitive to, and what nobody will question, is how was anyone able to physically push someone else? Living in India, we don't understand the concept of personal space, personal freedom, right to defend ourselves. It's fairly common for someone to walk into our house and beat us up for something that um, was not right in their view. It could be religious, it could be political, it could be um, any kind of dispute, land dispute, whatever, right? Money. We don't realize that everyone has a personal freedom and a right to defend themselves. In US, if an incident like that happened, the aggressor will most likely get shot. And which is what I have been telling pretty much anyone I talk to. The reason I moved to America is not really uh, monetary. Yes, there is some advantage to it. In India too, you can get a lot of jobs that are really high paying, but the concept of personal freedom just doesn't exist. You can be on the street and you might scratch someone's car and they'll get out and beat you up. And that's how the society works, because if they don't beat you up, most likely you will beat them up. And the person who beats up first is the winner. So we have created a social system where the aggressor is always the winner. And you see these fist fights literally everywhere in India. People like to beat up people, people like to thrash people. I keep telling my friends here, anyone I talk to, is we talk about gun violence and we talk about things that happen because of guns. What we don't see is what guns prevent, what doesn't happen because of guns. Because I'm assumed to have a gun with me, I'm able to have a house which has large yard with no fence, large glass windows. If it was in India, or even just go south of the border in Mexico, pretty much every window is covered with grills, um, because there is no deterrent. There is nothing stopping the bad guys from coming into your house and either stealing or killing you. There's nothing to protect you, right? Um, I've arrived at work. So we were talking about personal freedom. And like I said, in India, the concept of personal freedom and personal space doesn't exist. But there are two factors in the behavior of that person. One is how strongly they feel about their beliefs. And like I said, I'll talk about religion later, but when your beliefs exceed your civic sense, I think that's when you get to see these problems. And the question one has to ask is, how far is someone going to go to protect those beliefs? In this case, I know that this person was very concerned, maybe even scared, that if the sanctity of the river was not preserved, bad things will happen. Religion is based off of those kind of notions. But if you take the same scenario, say in a developed country, let's say in US, you go to a church and you do something that's not supposed to be done. At the most, someone will come and tell you not to do that. Nobody will physically manhandle you. Even if you call a cop on someone who's doing something wrong, unless my action is going to cause a bodily harm to someone or any kind of harm, even the cops will not physically restrain me. They'll ask me to step away. So I think the combination of strong beliefs, religious beliefs, or whatever beliefs that one believes in, and lack of civic sense and lack of personal freedom sort of contribute to that. What bothers me is we let that excuse me, we let that happen, and as a result, the entire society falls into chaos where physical might decides who wins. Now, like I said, in US, if that happened, the aggressor will most likely get shot. Now, I have no intention of shooting anyone. I don't want anyone getting shot. But the fact that I have the right to defend myself keeps everyone away from me. Like I said, the things that guns prevent are not visible. The things that guns cause are. So that's why we get a distorted view of it. But having a system to provide the freedom to defend oneself, that's law. And having a system to support that freedom is order. Unless there is law and order systems to allow someone to defend their own their body, that freedom cannot happen. And for someone who has lived in both the worlds, only he can see it the best. Someone, for example, an American who has never lived in India, doesn't really realize the freedom that he or she may be taking for granted. Until you are put in a place where you have no freedom and your basic rights can be taken away, you wouldn't know what it is. There is actually a psychological study that says that the loss of a particular power is most felt by someone who has had it before, as opposed to someone who had never had it before. I think I would take that a step further and say that someone who never had it before, then got the power and then lost it, it would be worse. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm here for freedom. It's the land of the free, and I would not want anyone to take the basic rights to defend themselves away, because the consequences will be really, really harsh. NRA says freedom not exercised is freedom lost, and that is true. If you have a freedom, if you have a right to do something, and when the time comes and if you decide to let it go, rest assured that that freedom will soon be taken away. So it's important for us not only to have our rights and our freedom, but also exercise it regularly in order to keep it active and valid. In Europe, I believe this is only in the months of winter. If you find a property that's vacant and go and occupy it, the law actually supports you in being there at least until the winter is over. In US, if you occupy a property for more than 5 years, you can actually claim ownership to that. It's called squatter's law. What I'm trying to say is, letting go of your property or of your right is a very dangerous situation, and we should never ever let our rights go lapse. If you have a right, exercise it, use it. That's the only way to keep that right. Alright, I just thought I'll talk about this because to most of us Indians, it's a non-event. We don't even care. But it's one thing to, like I said, we don't have a space of sense of personal space. But it's one thing to hit someone walking on the street and not having the space, and completely different to intentionally manhandle someone and force them to follow your way. I think those are very